nation building and what citizens can do and what role they actually have to play. And easily at a time like this, the military comes into focus as they play a crucial role in nation building and stability through various forms of sacrifice and contributions. But let's begin with the chairman of the Nigerian Legion to assess for us these contributions that have been made in the past and continue to be made even today and will be made tomorrow.
Well, thank you very much, Cyril. As I rightly pointed out, sacrifice by members of the armed forces has been since the inception of this country, even before the independence of Nigeria. Nigerian soldiers have participated in so many campaigns under the colonial regimes. And that is the starting point for making supreme sacrifices by our soldiers. And through the independence, and immediately after, like the First and Second World War, all under colonial regimes, parents, grandparents were drafted against their wish. They have no option, they went. Even though on return, that set the tone for struggle for independence in some areas. But even after the First and Second World War, Nigerian troops have participated in other peacekeeping operations and during Congo. And of course, the unfortunate civil war of the Nigeria in 1967, which lasted for 30 months, and that is where we had the greatest casualties of our soldiers trying to keep this country united. So in terms of sacrifices, the Nigerian soldier has been sacrificing since before inception of the country as an independent nation, and all through to present time, that sacrifice has persisted and is ongoing, and is everywhere to see, for everybody to see. And unfortunately, the Nigerian soldier, immediately he is out of the scene, to a greater majority of citizens tend to forget such sacrifice. And that's what informed the government to think of a day to celebrate and commemorate those who have sacrificed and made full sacrifice, and also to remember with joy the day the civil war of Nigeria ended in January 15, 1970. So that is in a nutshell, the background for the kind of sacrifice that the Nigerian soldier has been making and is still making. And as the program continues,
right,
I would elaborate and also exemplify some the role that we are playing, so much that we are almost being brought to the first line of defense, which shouldn't be.
Well, Dr. Nasaraku, let's come to you, and we stand the focus on the military, for instance, even though generally we'll be focusing on sacrifice and what citizens can do. But these citizens who proudly don on the uniform and step out to, if necessary, lay down their lives for the nation, let's start off with them and the kinds of sacrifices they make.
Yes, the history of Nigeria whether pre-independent Nigeria or after independent Nigeria, cannot be written without stipulation of the sacrifice made by members of the armed forces. As a matter of fact, if you are talking about the struggle for the independence of Nigeria from the British colonialism, you have to attribute it to the gallantry of the members of the armed forces. They were the ones taken from our colonial countries to serve as the multinational contingents under the banner of the British forces that assisted in the defeat of the Nazi forces in both the First and the Second World War. As a matter of fact, it was immediately after the Second World War that movements for the liberation of colonial countries began. And we saw efforts by a number of nationalists because the members of the armed forces had become the pathfinders, paving the way for it to be peaceable for the civil populace to come after them to be demanding for independence. The demand for independence succeeded, and at the end, the professionalism, the disposition of patriotism and nationalism of the members of the armed forces came into force in such a way that they did not interfere in the democratic processes of the handover of independence to Nigeria, among other nations. And immediately after that time, we saw a situation whereby the members of the armed forces were as well taken to different parts of the globe, entrenching from professionalism, the zeal and the gallantry with which to fight for restoration of peace and civility in different parts of the world. In the Congo Republic, for example, the decolonization of Southern Africa, the Liberia, and so many other places, even recently you talk of Sudan and other places, Nigerian contingents ended up becoming the number one to be reckoned with. But the fundamental thing was that between 1967 to 1970, precisely the war that ended January 15, 1970, which we lost over 3 million lives, kudos must be given to the gallantry of the members of the armed forces for bringing about national cohesion, and national peace and national stability in declaring the whole episode as no winner, no vanquished. In the interest of common brotherhood, in the interest of eschewing violence, to embrace one another. And then we continued. All the developmental indices you will see in the country, over 70% of them were entrenched by the military administrations, all trying to bring about policies and programs for national cohesion, programs like the Green Revolution, the National Youth Service Corps, program like additional states creation, road constructions, railway construction, universities, many these things that time will not allow us to mention. But the most fundamental one that we should even put into cognizance now is the fact that from 1999 to date, if there will be any institution that will be cherished and be respected for demonstration of patriotism, discipline, and nationalism, it is the Nigeria's armed forces. The Nigeria's armed forces, if you look at the Constitution carefully, they are the number one respecters of Section 15, subsection 1, that talks about the motto of the Federal Republic of Nigeria: unity and faith, peace and progress. Now, you cannot be united, you cannot be faithful with one another when there is no peace. As a matter of fact, even the progress cannot even be there. And the members of the armed forces decided to safeguard the democratic experiment from 1999 to date, especially protecting the sanctity of Section 14, subsection 1, that says sovereignty belongs to the people. And that is the reason why they decided to come to the forefront in championing the fight against all forms of criminalities in Nigeria, especially the contemporary insecurity challenges we are seeing, which, if you look at the Constitution under Section 214 to 216, is paradoxically the responsibility of the members of the Nigerian police. But the members of the armed forces have taken it up, because when you take sections 217 to 219, it says, where it seems difficult for the police to contend, members of the armed forces can be invited to come and partake. And you can see the excellence with which they are neutralizing all forms of criminalities and insecurities in the country. So it is really a high time we celebrate. Members of the civil populace should appreciate the gallantry, the disposition of patriotism, nationalism, discipline, and statesmanship that we are seeing in our members of the armed forces by giving them support, by giving them cooperation. Because even the Constitution, when you take sections 14, when you take sections 24, 23, and 21, it denotes a compulsory responsibility on the civil populace to marry their zeal and patriotism with members of the armed forces by giving them support in all nooks and corners, in all spheres of demands for assistance. The citizens are supposed to embrace what the Nigerian armed forces are doing, so that at the end of it, they should realize that it is for their own end benefit that members of the armed forces are crossing over their lives. So many of them have become, especially the women, have become orphans. Some of them have become widows. Some of them have become distant. Yet they are ever prepared, ever determined. I think it is high time we reflect, but even the government, not only the citizens, should come on board and see to the repositioning of the members of the armed forces to the correct pedestal they deserve by improving their welfare. Improving their number too is another fundamental thing, because the challenges are too enormous for their number, which is just about 500,000 to contend with a population of 230-something million Nigerians.
Okay. Thanks a lot. Putting that in perspective. And, well, we come to Dr. Eze now. And, well, for very good reason, where we've